It is a splendid Saturday afternoon here from McCoy Stadium. Bright blue skies up above, no clouds to speak of, and we are getting set for another edition of Red Sox Taxi Squad Baseball from Sim City. Alongside my broadcast partners Mike Antonellis and Josh Maurer, who is also directing this afternoon. Jim Kane on hand here with you, and we thank you for making us a part of your Saturday afternoon. Whether you're tuning in through the Periscope app, on Twitter, or through Facebook Live, thank you for joining us. And Mike, I'll start with you. You see the guy on the mound right there, that's Bryan Mata. It has been nearly a month since we have seen him in a game. He had that injury scare in that Sim game back on August 31st in the game with Jake Room. Fortunately, he is okay, and he's going to make one final turn here in Sim City.
Yeah, good to see him back on the mound. Remember that day it was in his mid-delivery. He hurt his left leg. We had no idea what it was. We thought maybe hamstring, Achilles, just the way he went down. He was in a lot of pain, but good to have him back on the mound, and important to finish strong here for him.
It certainly is. And Josh, he won't be the only guy we see. He's expected to go too, but Caleb Simpson, who else is expected to throw a couple of innings? He has been a workhorse here at Sim City, but also Robinson Layer is expected to throw today after he was optioned at the alternate site yesterday.
Yeah, he was a casualty of Darwinson Hernandez getting activated by Boston. Darwinson struggled in his return to the big league mound last night, but we're going to see Caleb Simpson. We may see Layer as well. He was playing catch in the outfield, so seeing some good electric arms that are relievers opposing the most electric arm, perhaps, that's in the entire organization in Bryan Mata.
Maybe not the entire organization. According to Ball Abbott the other day, he thinks he could be the most exciting arm in all of baseball.
Yeah, high praise. Be nice to see maybe Caleb Simpson get a chance to pitch with the Red Sox before the end of the year.
And he has really been drawing, I know we'll talk about this when Simpson goes to the Hill, he's been drawing rave reviews from all the coaches that we've heard speak about him, especially recently. They love the improvements that Caleb Simpson has made.
The first pitch to Hudson Potts is fired in for a strike. You can see the shadows just about halfway through Hudson Potts in the batter's box. But it is a perfect fall day. Not used to having baseball here at McCoy this late in September, but here we are. 63 degrees and nothing but sunshine up above. Bryan Mata, a 21-year-old right-hander. He has pitched 5 times here at Sim City. Has thrown a couple of bullpen sessions since that injury scare at the end of August, but all is well with Mata, and that is a great sign for the Red Sox. There's strike 2.
Got a good look at that beautiful sky that you were discussing today. Gorgeous. Feels like a fall afternoon. I know we haven't quite turned to that season yet, but doesn't it feel like it? It's like a football day.
Yep, football weather, high school football.
It's as close to a normal fall Saturday as you can get as Potts waves and misses at the slider. It's a good start for Bryan Mata.
Now these hitters will see a lot of that pitch today, not only from Mata, but Simpson.
He's been sitting 98 miles an hour in that first at-bat against Hudson Potts, so no worse for the wear, apparently, for Bryan Mata. And then he goes to the slider to put him away.
Here comes Josh Ockamy, who has been swinging a hot bat here in these Sim games of late. Overshift on for him in the infield. You've got 3 infielders. As he takes ball 1, you've got Jose Perazo out there. You've got Jeter Downs, Tristan Casas. Jaron Duran is in the outfield, along with Marcus Wilson. And Juan Centeno doing the catching. That's inside.
Here's that defense yet again, and we've also got our friend the traffic cone out in center field with Jaron Duran. We found out the reason for it, by the way. Got a little insight from our grounds crew. There was a rodent, a really rascally creature doing some damage.
That's flared into left center, and it's in for a hit. Josh Ockamy is aboard with an opposite field single. And making his way to the batter's box for the first time in Sim City, it's the Red Sox first-round pick from the 2020 draft, Nick York.
Well, what a year for him. From being at home, being in high school not too long ago, now in Sim City.
Thanks to Josh Liebenow, the clubhouse manager, for the heads up literally a second ago with the text saying that Nick York was wearing 17. And how about this? I mean, this is terrific. I know we talked about it the other day, guys, but just to get the exposure, if you're Nick York, an 18-year-old kid facing guys like Brian Mata and possibly even Caleb Simpson, Robinson Layer, that's terrific.
I don't know in high school if you ever faced any arm that comes anywhere in the same hemisphere as Brian Mata's arm. What a way to get indoctrinated, huh? Face 98.
Yeah, his first professional taste is in a simulated game against Brian Mata.
I mean, I know out in the San Jose area where Nick played his high school ball, you got some good high school players. Maybe there's a pitcher that hits 90 from time to time. But come on.
He flares this one to right, and that's in for a base hit. Akami touches second. He's on his way to third. And welcome to Sim City, Nick York. He takes Brian Mata to the opposite field for a single.
Save that baseball.
That is really cool. And I guarantee you there were some butterflies, too, for Nick York. Being in the batter's box here for the first time. Look, we all know these aren't real games. Look at him, though. Gets to touch first base. Talking with Tristan Casas. There's a pair of first-round picks by the Red Sox side by side.
CJ Chatham wasting no time. He skies one to right. It's a vacant right field. And Bruce Crabb will call him out. Akami will tag. The throw from Gabe Kapler is not in time.
I like how Billy yelled go to Akami.
Gotta love the sacrifice fly without an outfielder actually catching the ball. But you can have that here. Would you call that situational hitting by C.J. Chatham?
Yeah, going the other way. Oh, finding the vacant spot.
It wasn't very deep. I think if a right fielder had caught it, I know this is all silly to talk about even, but I don't know that you would have tagged on that. Would have been a close play.
Jet Bandy wasting no time. Boy, these hitters aren't waiting around here in the early going against Mata.
Yeah, a lot of first pitch fastballs.
Brian Mata, 21 years of age, was signed as an international free agent out of Venezuela at the age of 16. Bandy lines one to short, and it's caught by Perazo. And that'll end the inning. So we saw Nick York get his first at-bat and line a single. We saw a run score. But good to see Brian Mata come through his first inning healthy. So we head to the bottom half of the inning, and we expect to see Caleb Simpson as he's coming out of the bullpen.
Feels like hitting weather, huh? Good contact by the guys in that first inning.
And it's impressive that they get that kind of contact, Mike, because it looked like Mata was pretty much hitting his spots. And as we talked about the velo, his arm was very good. I think we've seen some pretty good offense here as the taxi squad action starts to wind down. Seeing the batters really kicking it into high gear.
So here comes Caleb Simpson. Simpson pitched in the last Sim game, which was on Thursday afternoon. He pitched an inning, and he struck out the side. He got Tristan Casas to strike out swinging on a slider. He got Jason Rosario to strike out swinging also on a slider, and Marcus Wilson on that slider as well. So that was a theme in his only inning, and that's been a pitch that has impressed many of the people here at Sim City.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of swings and misses with it. Late break, and as we heard in the Zoom call the other day, he's missing bats by plenty. Sean Haviland telling us that. He's been a good story, him and Blair. They've improved.
Do you think he misses squaring off against his normal counterpart of late, Seth Blair? It's been Blair Simpson like 5 times in a row.
It must feel a little weird for him.
Wonder if they have a little bet set up, the two of them.
You've got a full set of infielders here behind him, which Brian Mata did not have. You've got Hudson Potts, C.J. Chatham. Nick York is playing second base, and Josh Jacoby's at first. Rosario's in the outfield. He's the lone outfielder with that safety cone to his left.
I was talking about a rodent. Apparently the culprit has been captured. That's the word we get.
Nice. So the rodent knew not to go near that cone, right?
No, the rodent is the reason for the cone. It was not man-made, I'll tell you that. The damage.
You know, Matt McKinnon is very meticulous about the field, and rightfully so. Does an excellent job taking care of the diamond. And this place has to withstand a lot when you consider all the tables and chairs we have to put out for dining on the diamond. And to still look as great as it does, that's a testament to Matt and Alex Tedesco. Jaron Duran takes first pitch strike.
You gotta like it. They've faced each other so many times of late that he knew not to throw him a first pitch fastball.
Yeah.
I think you were going to say the same thing, right,
I
Mike?
was, yep.
Or with a slider.
Shift on against Duran. And he holds up, according to Billy McMillan, down the third base line. Duran, I guess you could say, has perhaps slowed a bit at the plate, but that's not saying much when you consider the torrid pace he was at for better part of a month and a half here at Sim City. As he hits this one through the shift and past the dive of Nick York. Right on cue. Jaron Duran with a leadoff single.
Not easy to get it through that shift. Perfect spot. He just really looks like a good hitter. When you just watch him every day, he's been patient. Doesn't miss many fastballs either.
So here comes Tristan Casas. Told you just a few moments ago, Casas in his only at bat against Simpson struck out on a slider on Thursday. And there's a slider in for strike one. You know, to get back to Nick York for a second, just to think about if you were to go back to the start of this year, if you're Nick York, you're a senior in high school, then you end up getting drafted in the first round, and to think that you'd end up facing a guy in Brian Mata who many regard as the top pitching prospect in the Red Sox system come season's end. I mean, what a whirlwind that must be for him.
Absolutely, and he probably didn't think he was going to get drafted by the Red Sox. Just the way some of the draft boards worked out, or probably didn't even think he was going to play at all.
We were talking about this the other day, Mike. Yeah, the prognosticators, and it's hard to try to go through an entire baseball first round and figure out who's going to get picked where, but most guys didn't have Nick York that high up on the board that he would go first round. Young kid, but very projectable. The Red Sox, when they got to know him, they say they just fell in love with him. Big on character.
No, not only that, but he also put up the numbers to back it up during his high school career at Archbishop Mitty High School in San Jose, California. Runners off, swing and a miss, throw down, in time. Oh no, the ball popped out. Oh, the tag beat him, but the ball popped out of the glove of Chatham.
Well, that was a pretty good throw by Pareda. I didn't think they had a chance to get Duran. And usually you don't.
No, you don't. You're right. But how about Caleb Simpson striking out Tristan Casas again? 2 times in a row that he's faced him here this week, but he's able to put him away.
And that's a rare bad swing by him.
And he did the same thing against Simpson on Thursday. He chased that slider in the dirt, now chases the high heat out of the zone. Very uncharacteristic. And now Wilson lays off a slider that gets away from Pareda. Now Duran down to third.
So you think Casas was thinking, I'm getting that breaking ball again. That's where an older pitcher knows a thing or two.
Look at this, guys. They'll bring the infield in here with 1 out in the inning. Trying to simulate a real game situation. Cut down a runner at home.
Again, the infield for you. Hudson Potts at third. Chatham is at short. Nick York at second, and Nakami at first. Jason Rosario all by himself in center. That's strike one on the corner, according to Bruce Crabb, who is back calling the balls and strikes today.
I thought it was interesting that Sean Haviland, who's one of the coaching guys that works with the pitchers here at the alternate site, he talked about how there are outings where a pitcher here is only working on a specific pitch, and it's obvious today that Caleb Simpson's working on that slider. That's about all he's thrown thus far.
Inside with the fastball.
Yeah, it's not like you're playing against another opponent where your ERA and your WHIP are going to all go on your record forever. These guys don't have to wake up the next morning and see that on their webpage. So they can do whatever they want. So if you say, all right, today you're just going to work on slider to lefties or righties, whatever the case may be, that's what they can do.
In and out of the glove, but it missed down and away.
And we saw that from the way Tanner Houck pitched in his big league debut. He didn't throw many splitters because he's trying to get outs. So you're not going to work on a pitch in the big leagues.
I think Sean's point essentially was that this is one of the nice unintended consequences of what this developmental site has been here in Pawtucket.
Speaking of Tanner Houck, he gets the ball for his second big league start tomorrow afternoon against the Yankees. Game 2 a little later on tonight. As Wilson swings through a slider for strike 3. 2 down.
It's become unhittable.
Why not keep throwing it?
Best way to hit it, you don't swing at it. It's a tough pitch to put in play.
You know, that's a great point.
Where it's moving. Yeah.
No, that's true, but that's something that the Nesson broadcast team was talking about the other night on the broadcast when they were talking to David Ortiz. And before he came on, they had said that the big difference for Ortiz when he got to Boston is he made the conscious decision to only swing at things in the strike zone. He wasn't going to chase pitches anymore, which is a lot easier said than done. And I guess it worked for him, huh?
Yeah, I guess it did.
Ortiz also revealed yesterday that he tested positive for COVID-19. He has since tested negative, although he did say his brother did have a pretty serious bout with COVID-19.
Yeah, I heard that in the hospital.
Centeno grounds right into the shift, and Chatham throws him out. So after the leadoff single to Duran, Caleb Simpson gets Casas, Wilson, and Centeno in order. We are through one full inning here at Sim City, and now a word from our presenting sponsor, Bank of America.
We are entering a new chapter in our lives. Our confidence is shaken, cracked. We didn't ask for it, but we are rising to meet it. And how far we've come isn't even close to how far we can go. There's a crack in everything for a reason. How else can the light get in? Tomorrow starts today.
Alongside Mike Antonellis and Josh Maurer, I'm Jim Kane. Glad you could join us here on a Saturday afternoon. Alex Richardson on the TrackMan, Dan Fontaine on the high-home camera, and Tim Quidadamo in our production booth. Joe Jacobs on assignment today.
What would that assignment be?
Probably watching some college football, perhaps. A lot of college football on today.
Not a bad assignment.
Getting a tan. He tans on Saturdays.
So Brian Mata set to work his second inning. And I want to go back to the comment that Paul Abbott made the other day about him. Now, he said to him, he's probably the most exciting guy, Brian Mata is, in the Red Sox organization, but also one of the most exciting guys in all of baseball. That's a pretty strong comment to make about Mata.
Well, the reason he said it, Jim, is because of his stuff and because of his age. He says you don't get a lot of guys who sit 97, touch 99, with his kind of breaking ball, too, that mixes in with it. And then also, remember, he's only 21. Young guy can still develop, and he's going to be developing at the highest levels of the minor leagues, you figure, when a regular season starts next year.
He's a really good personality, too. I know the guys like him a lot. He's good in the clubhouse. And he's been around. I remember seeing him pitch on the backfields at Fort Myers when he was 17. It was a guy they really liked. So maybe that homegrown starter that we hope to see.
I think one of the things that's interesting, we've talked a lot throughout this alternate site about the two young pitchers, Jay Groom and Brian Mata. Mata's made Double-A. Groom had never pitched above A-ball. Brian Mata's actually younger than Jay Groom is.
Yes.
Davey Grullon here back at Sim City takes ball one. Well, Grullon was with the Red Sox traveling taxi squad for a while. And he played one game against his former club, the Phillies, at Citizens Bank Park. We've seen him here briefly, too. And this is a good offensive catcher. It's a guy who can hit for a lot of power. And that was on display in his first game here at Sim City when he hit an opposite field home run.
Hit it off of Nick Pivetta, by the way.
Former battery mate, right?
Big swing there. You have to wonder when Nick Pivetta's next start could be. A lot of people think it could be Tuesday is when he lines up next, and that could be with the Red Sox against the Orioles. High fastball there.
They asked Ron Renicky, the Red Sox media did the other day about that specifically, and I think Ron said something to the extent of, I think you guys got that figured pretty well.
Yes. So he gave him the answer.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3 on Grullon. Boy, Brian Mata showing no ill effects from that injury scare. And that is a great sign.
His strikeouts have come on sliders. A couple of them that he's got. That one breaking away from Davey Grullon. Or breaking into him, I should say.
If Pivetta gets 2 starts, he'll pitch the season finale. He goes Tuesday and Sunday.
So the Red Sox play tonight against the Yankees, second of 3. They still have not won a game against New York after blowing the lead in the 9th and ultimately falling in 12 innings. Pareda rolls one over to third, and that is out number 2 according to Bruce Grapp. Chris Mazza getting the start against Jay Happ as the Red Sox looking to rebound from that 6-5 loss last night.
Yeah, Yankees have won 9 in a row, and not by coincidence with a lot of their guys back in the lineup. Yes, pitching is a big deal, but they lost so many position players.
I mean, just look at the top third of their lineup.
Yeah.
To have LeMahieu, Judge, and Stanton now all back, that is a formidable trio at the top. As Rosario slices one inside the line, a fair ball. Kicks off the sidewall. Rosario is going to trot into second base. Boy, that's one thing that has stuck out about Rosario thus far is his ability to hit to the opposite field. And doing it again right there, sneaking it just inside the bag.
Yeah, he was late a bit, but still hit it hard on the ground. That's a nice inside-out swing.
So here is the second newcomer in that Mitch Moreland trade. First one was Rosario. Now here's Potts, and he swings through a first pitch two-seamer. That two-seamer, I think, also played a role in the fact that Tanner Houck didn't throw too many splitters. He had the four-seam working, but that two-seam fastball, he got a lot of swings and misses against the Marlins with that pitch.
Definitely. And I was encouraged how he threw to lefties. He used just that wipeout slider right at them. And I think it's good for him to pitch against a lineup like the Yankees. I mean, why not? Not many teams have had success against them. And they haven't seen him.
Well, if his heart was pounding in Miami last week or earlier this week, you can imagine how it's going to feel against New York tomorrow. You go to the mound on Fenway Park for the first time in your career, and you have to face the Bronx Bombers, who are on fire, as you talked about. What a challenge.
I mean, what's crazy is that some of these guys, you know, they play video games with Judge and Stanton in it. Now they're on the mound. And I know it's overwhelming to some of them.
Hudson Potts batting for the second time against Mata. He began the ball game with a swinging strikeout on a slider. One of two punch-out victims so far from Mata. In his second and final scheduled inning of work here today. Slice foul back to the screen. By the way, I want to point out, our Facebook feed, we thank all of those tuning in on Facebook. We are not the Three Stooges, although we can be confused by the Three Stooges. I guess that's what Tim Quintadamo had put in as the broadcast crew for today. The Three Stooges called today's Sim Game live from McCoy. I can assure you that, although we do act like it sometimes, we are not Mo, Larry, and Curly. That skips in, good block by Centeno.
Well,
yeah, I was going to say up for debate.
Sometimes.
Yuck, 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 yuck.
And by the way, speaking of tonight's Red Sox game, our former partner, Josh Mike Monaco, getting the fill-in tonight on the NESN broadcast with Dave O'Brien on the ACC Network broadcasting responsibilities today. We wish Mike well. 7:30 first pitch at Fenway.
He'll be up to the challenge. Well, if you're doing a Red Sox-Yankees game as a broadcaster, I hope you negotiated into your deal that you get paid overtime.
Yeah.
5 hours last night again. Now, I know it went 12 innings.
Yep.
But it was about 4 hours into the ninth.
That skips for ball 4. Mata unhappy with himself, issuing the walk there.
What I've noticed, too, this year, there's been more long innings without runs than I've ever seen. I think that bottom of the first last night for the Red Sox went 18 minutes without a run.
That's going to end the inning. Inning will roll over as Mata hit his pitch limit. They still want to be careful with him. Again, pitching in a sim game for the first time since August 31st after the hamstring cramp. And that'll likely do it here at Sim City in 2020 for Mata. We shall see. So, through an inning and a half, we go to the bottom half of the second inning, and Caleb Simpson back to work. But how about Mike, huh? He's got Red Sox, Yankees. He's going to have the full crew. He's got Dak and Remy. Not a bad setup, and he should get overtime because those games, that's definitely going to be a 4-hour game, even if it's 9 innings.
They must like being in the studio for those at times.
Are you calling them the Three Stooges, too, or no?
Oh, I don't know about that.
It was funny last night. Jerry Remy made a reference to it being midnight. They had a shot of the clock.
I got to tell you that's Mario Oliveira, who's normally the guy who throws the baseballs back to the pitcher. Dan Fontaine is obsessed with Mario Oliveira today. Dan is doing our high on camera. Literally every time Mario moves, Dan has shown solely Mario.
Restraining order.
I'm a little bit worried.
Mario's waving up here.
Yep. Hi, Mario. But yeah, apparently Dan and Mario have got something going on.
So the word is that Mario, he typically can wear shorts and a sweatshirt and a hat like you see a lot of the other guys do, but he's in the full uniform today due to a lost bet.
Yeah, but that's not really... I mean, you got to shave his head or something for a lost bet. I
know. This is like a reward. It looks pretty cool.
That's what I thought.
And especially on a cooler day like today, you've got the long pants on.
Good news, guys. We're told only 2 innings were going to be played today, but with the possible addition of Robinson, Layer could extend the game. It looks like we will have an extension because Robinson is up throwing in the bullpen. Looks like he might come on and pitch some for us here this afternoon after this second inning from Caleb Simpson.
Yeah, we got the late word that he would potentially throw today, and it looks like that is indeed the case.
We would show you him in the bullpen, but I think Dan is still focusing on Mario. Just kidding. There he is.
Lair was optioned to the alternate site yesterday to make room for Darwinson Hernandez, who was activated off the injured list for the Red Sox, got to pitch in last night's game. So here comes Jose Perazo for the first time today. Perazo, a relative newcomer to Sim City. Again, got off to such a good start with the Red Sox, but really cooled off after the first weekend of the season. And he takes inside from Simpson to begin the inning.
How about Christian Arroyo, the way he's played at second base? He made an unbelievable catch last night in short right, and then hit a ball completely out of Fenway to left. At 420.
Yeah, it went on to Lansdowne Street, a 3-run shot. His third home run with the Red Sox in limited time.
I was maybe as impressed with his at-bat against Loizaga in the 11th inning that he ended up getting the game-tying single on. Pressure spot for him. And he came through in that as well. Just a great day. Jerry Remy said, we were talking about the NESN crew, Jerry Remy said, I think he's my second baseman for next year.
Why not?
Perazo pokes one foul.
I know it's very, 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 how many very should I say? Small sample size for Arroyo, but the returns early are good.
But he's getting a chance to play every day. Sometimes there's an ease to that.
That was an under-the-radar move, a move that I know you were high on, Josh, when the Red Sox claimed him off waivers. He had a great season a year ago at the AAA level, and the Rays system did spend some time with the Rays. You got to figure that connection with Chaim Bloom, a reason why he is here too. Check swing, and he lays off a slider. Boy, that pitch is really working for him today.
Yeah, even when guys aren't swinging, there's a little hint of them maybe. Like you just saw there by Perazo.
Do we have an autograph fishing going on here?
That sliced foul. Tim Quintadamo down there, our manager of Sox Productions. Trying to get a good shot. There he is.
Taking photos?
Is he heckling Jeter Downs on deck? I wonder.
Throw that guy out.
Hey, bada.
Security.
Hey, bada.
Where are our ushers?
Perazo,
man.
a weak wave and a miss. What break on that slider from Simpson.
Well, and he slowed it up that time. That's what's impressive of his slider. A couple different shapes of it. He took a lot off that.
Tell you, between Mata and Simpson so far in 2 innings, we're just seeing some power sliders, and then, as you said, Mike, that time more of a sweeping one. But those have been that's been the pitch du jour. Slide piece.
Yeah.
So Simpson has recorded 4 outs, and 3 of them have come by way of the K. 2 on sliders and 1 on a fastball. Now Jeter Downs tries to lay off, and he does so successfully.
We're seeing a lot of that, though. He's got these guys really off balance. Because you have to think that pitch is coming at some point.
Downs batting for the first time today. You can hear the grunt, too, after that delivery from Simpson. Looking for some extra oomph on that fastball, and he got it.
Did you guys find it interesting? Jet Bandy spoke with the media yesterday on a Paw Sox created Zoom, and he talked about how for these pitchers, he just has challenged them to figure out a way to just create battles for yourself. You hear another grunt there, but every time that you're pitching, you just have to create your own incentive. Challenge yourself. And you can tell guys like Caleb Simpson have really been able to do that, even though you're not playing in real games.
And I think these guys know they have a good chance to move up.
Tristan Casas is on deck. He is just out of your screen, but he is close to home plate. There's another swooping slider that just misses the corner.
Looks weird to see a full infield.
Sure does.
Not used to that.
I would show you that full infield if Dan were paying attention. I'm just getting all over Dan today. There we go.
Good look at those shadows, too. That one is...
That's got to be a strike.
Yeah,
a
definitely.
strike on a late call from Crab.
I think he must have been somewhat blocked. Belled high right down the middle. Good pitch.
Swing and a miss. Strikeout number 4 for Caleb Simpson. That time he brought the heat.
Yeah, he's looked very, very dominant. Duran singled off him in first batter. How about since? 5 in a row, 4 on strikeouts.
Well, he's challenged himself, and he's started to look like one of the really shining bright spots here from the taxi squad.
Casas, and excuse me, swing to the left side and just under the glove of Hudson Potts.
It was great. Simpson was mad about that. He turned his back, threw his hand up. As I say, you got to be kidding me. They've had a pretty good battle, those two.
Yeah, they sure have.
That'd be what they call an excuse me hit.
Yes.
Oops. Whoop. Sorry, didn't mean to do that.
And he still got enough on it to just punch it through that left side.
And if you're wondering, by the way, well, why wasn't that an automatic out? There was only one infielder over there. The reason that there was only one infielder is because they had an overshift on.
Yes.
Now Duran to bat for the second time. And he takes outside.
If you're following taxi squad protocol, if there had been only, let's say, 3 infielders on the diamond right now, then that probably would have been ruled an out. You guys think I'm taking this too seriously?
Just a bit.
Duran, his first time, snuck a single through the shift on the right side.
Well, I'll tell you, it makes a lot of difference to Tristan Casas.
Casas aboard there at first. Akemi holding him on. Duran lifts one foul left side out of play.
You think Casas is keeping track of his hits, Josh?
Absolutely. Yep. Oh, these guys know, don't they, Mike?
Oh, yeah. He'll tell Simpson he meant to do that. Check swing it over there.
It's an interesting look that we just had of the shadows. I mean, they're really stark. This time of day, just past 2 o'clock. Late in September. Can be a bit challenging, especially if you're a catcher at this time. An excuse me swing there that went foul into the dugout.
Boy, he's got these guys tied up in knots. I mean, a lot of check swings.
I keep going back to the Facebook live feed and I see the Three Stooges caption on the description. Gets me every time. We're not that bad.
Just wait till I get the whoopee cushion involved, Jim.
Fastball off the plate away. It's like that grunt that Max Scherzer has after every pitch.
Yes.
Very audible.
And now with the empty stands, you can hear a lot of grunting from pitchers. We heard it from Zach Godley.
Big story in baseball today regarding a pitcher. As Duran a check swing, the ball skips away. They try to appeal to Billy McMillan, who was not paying attention. He's holding a conversation with somebody down the third base line.
Well, he went. They ruled it a strikeout, and I agree. I think that bat went, and Duran is another victim of that slider from Caleb Simpson.
Yeah, Caleb Simpson is telling Duran, hey, you swung there.
He did.
Yeah.
Yep, and they called it.
And the thing about it, too, guys, is that these aren't big swings and misses, legitimate swings. He's fooling all of these guys. A lot of these are coming on weak hacks and check swings and things of the like. I think that makes it all the more impressive and speaks to just how effective that pitch is.
Well, and he's seeing these guys more than once here, and they still are fooled. That's where sometimes we talk about, well, the guy needs 3 pitches, or he throws 2 pitches right now that he's commanding. He's throwing them differently. And, yeah, the swings are very awkward. He's gotten better and better with every outing, especially the last 2 weeks.
By the way, the gentleman with whom Billy McMillan is speaking to down the line, Dan Fontaine tells us it's Eddie Romero, assistant GM of the Red Sox.
Yeah, we saw Eddie here one other day, and he spent an entire sim game in that exact location, talking to Billy a few weeks ago.
His dad played for the Red Sox in the 80s.
I'd like to be a little fly to be able to take a sneak peek in on that conversation, hear what those guys are talking about.
That'd be great.
I think they'd have to be talking about Caleb Simpson. What's going on right in front of him, just how impressive he's been.
Welcome back, Robinson Layer.
So Layer to pitch here after 2 from Mata, 2 from Simpson. Layer, as we told you, was optioned to the alternate site here at Sim City yesterday to make room for Darwinson Hernandez on the big league roster. Made his big league debut at his time with Boston. Was selected to their roster back at the end of August. Appeared in 6 games for the Sox. Allowed 11 runs. Had 9 strikeouts, though, in 4 2/3 innings. And And he showed off that line bar that we have seen plenty of times here at Sim City.
Yeah, back here, I mean, it's simple with him. His command has just been off. And when he misses, it's everywhere. Up and in, down and away. It's different than how Tapia misses. His command issues are more down in the zone. It's tough when you throw that hard, too.
Seriously, though, a life-changing 2 weeks that he just underwent.
Yes.
I know that there are struggles and the numbers don't look great, but Mike, just think about how different his life, his future, frankly, his wallet look.
It's great.
In the span of 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some tough years in the minors, too. Released last year, signed by Boston.
I don't know if the folks that are maybe just casual observers of baseball, I don't know if you realize how much just even a tiny little bit of time of big league service can do for you personally, your career, and again, financially. It's a huge difference maker.
So, I asked this question to was Billy when he was in Portland, and he went through all of his experience and how that paid out. And Billy didn't play a lot, but it's paid out for him. You don't need to be in the big leagues 5, 10 years, 20 years to cash in.
He was part of the flurry of roster moves that was made on the trade deadline was Layer when he got the call back on August 31st. In fact, he was here at Sim City that day. And the last that we saw of Layer, he was down the third base line just outside the dugout on the phone telling his friends, family, relatives that he was going up to Boston and he had to get there in a hurry. And he ended up pitching that night in the game against the Braves.
Unbelievable, huh?
I remember thinking there was no way that he was in Fenway Park when the first pitch of that game was thrown. Probably got there in like the second or third inning and then was pitching by the sixth.
He will face Nick York to begin his inning. And York not wasting any time going down the right field line, but it slices foul. Man, how about this? Nick York not wasting any time against neither Mata or a guy who has big league experience in Robinson Layer. Again, just add to the list if you're Nick York.
Layer saying, who's this guy?
When did he get here? Well, about 4 days ago. One of the things we pointed out the other day when we talked about York joining this taxi squad is that now 4 of the last 5 Red Sox first-round draft choices have been here throughout the course of this alternate site. Go back to Groom, Houck, Casas, and York since 2016.
York is listed at 6 feet, 200 pounds, and again, 18 years of age. There's a strike. Fastball from Layer. There's a slider that's just off the plate.
Good take. It's a pretty good pitch.
I've liked his approach at the plate. It's a very, very small sample size, obviously, but again, with all the butterflies that you mentioned, Mike, that have to be going through his stomach, pretty composed, and again, composed there, drawing ball 4.
Yeah, he'll never forget this. His first taste of professional baseball during the pandemic, playing at McCoy Stadium in its final year. I mean, what a crazy journey for that young man.
A lot of people might be saying, well, why would they just send him here for like a week and a half? Well, the announcement is apparently official now that there's going to be an instructional camp that the Red Sox are going to hold.
Snap throw down at first, and they get York.
Uh-oh.
Just too big of a secondary lead. Grullon was all over it, and Nick York is thrown out.
Yeah, and
growing pains.
Yeah, kind of caught napping. You got a veteran catcher back there in Davey Grullon, and he made a good, strong throw.
Well, that's all part of the experience, isn't it?
Yep. I think Billy tried to loosen the room. He yelled back after he was called out, trying to make him laugh.
We saw those two have a long conversation on Thursday. As Akami squibs one down the third base line, Lair will just put it in his back pocket. So Josh Akami has been to the plate twice today and has 2 singles. But anyway, we saw those two, Billy McMillan and Nick York, talk for quite a while. In fact, it was probably the whole length of the sim game. It was a short sim game, just an inning and a half, but I think it's important for a guy like York to get acclimated as quickly as possible. And to your point, Josh and Mike, it may seem weird that there's only about a week left here, but with that announcement, it is important to get his feet wet before the instructional league begins.
Yeah, just to get some at-bats. They just learn how to be a pro.
Now C.J. Chatham takes strike 1.
That's a great setting to learn if you're the younger guys. There's some really good mentors here.
Oh, we were talking about one of the nice byproducts of having the setup this way being that pitchers can work on whatever they want to without having to fear retribution in their stats. I think another nice consequence, a byproduct of setting this up the way that it is, you get that mix of really young guys with very experienced guys that you would never, ever have in the minor leagues otherwise.
Ooh. Big cut and a miss there. Chatham chasing that high fastball.
And I think for the younger guys, they want to do well here. I know Jet Bandy said these aren't real games, but I think for the younger guys, it is. For them, it is. I mean, if you're Nick York, this is a real game to you. Never played pro ball.
Off goes Akami. Chatham chops one through the left side. They rule that a base hit, although there are 3 infielders. Billy McMillan throwing his arms up, saying, Marcus Wilson, get the ball in.
It's not usually how you drop the hit and run.
Nope.
Go the other way, but that would work if they say it's a hit. And it is.
They've tried this a couple times over the last week or so, and they really hadn't been working on that. The hit and run seems to be a late addition to the foray here. Here is the aforementioned Jet Bandy batting for the second time.
I was just curious if he chose What a Man by Salt and Pepper as his walk-up music or if they're just having some fun with him.
I was thinking the same thing. Two on, 2 out, and that's outside. Josh, Jim, and Mike with you. Glad you could join us, whether it's through Periscope on Twitter or Facebook Live. Here in a gorgeous fall afternoon from Sim City. That one's just south of the knees. Robinson Lair, 27 years old, signed out of the Dominican Republic. Fouled in and out of the glove of Gurrion.
Boy, that shadow's cutting the plate in half. Looked like right where Bandy was swinging, that ball disappeared.
And as we talked about last half inning, I think for the catchers in particular, they're the ones who have the most trouble at the moment. Gurrion in warm-ups with Lair, he seemed to not see a couple of balls that were in the dirt. That one in the dirt, he stops at that time.
Yeah, but that looked awkward, the way he caught that.
It did. And now Gurrion is going to head out for a chat with Lair.
I wonder if they get crossed up there.
Kind of, as you said, he caught it awkward. It looked like he did, like he was expecting something else. Bet Albert Pujols, guys.
Yeah.
A couple of homers last night for the Angels, and he ends up passing Willie Mays on the all-time home run list. 5th most home runs ever for Pujols, who very quietly has been finishing out his career down in Anaheim for the last, how many years is it now? 6, 7 at least?
Yeah, he's been there since 2012.
Wow, 8 years.
His numbers
it's incredible.
Are,
right.
I mean, especially his early numbers with St. Louis, as Bandy swings and misses. They're stupid. They're video game like.
This is the best number. He's never struck out 100 times in a season.
Wow.
I mean, think about that. For a power hitter, you think that would have happened once. 93 is the most. His first year in the big leagues.
Bandy in the air to center field. Duran drifts back, circles and catches. His throw into third base will not get there. Downs tries to go to second. Nice heads-up base running by Chatham, tagging from first as well as both runners advance on the flyout by Bandy.
Yeah, those early numbers, Jim, are unreal.
And you throw in the fact that he was a Gold Glove defender at first base for a number of years. So he was, you talk about a total package, he was a five-tool player. So that's great news from Pujols. Bad news, however, for the Astros and Justin Verlander. Announced earlier today that Verlander will undergo Tommy John surgery. And he had an injury-riddled season to this point. But now the word today that he will go under the knife.
Hey, you figure it's going to be a tough road back. It is anyway, even if you're 22.
Yep.
Pareda pops one up. Right side, Casas is calling for it. And he makes the catch, battling the sun, even with the sunglasses on. And that'll end the inning. So two men reach, two men are stranded. And we'll see if Lair is going to go another inning. The Rosenbag, which is usually the cue, is still on the mound. So I wonder if that will
he's
mean
going
another
one more.
half inning. Yeah. So while we have some downtime,
they're going to simulate a Red Sox-Yankees half inning.
yeah, we'll see how long
boy.
this will go.
I don't know if we could carry that long.
Well, while we have a moment here, let's pause for another word from our partners, Bank of America.
We are entering a new chapter in our lives. Our confidence is shaken, cracked. We didn't ask for it, but we are rising to meet it. And how far we've come isn't even close to how far we can go. There's a crack in everything for a reason. How else can the light get in? Tomorrow starts today.
Back at Sim City, Josh, Jim, Mike, all here with you in our socially distanced broadcast booths from McCoy Stadium. Beautiful fall afternoon here in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Start of a long day for us, well, for some of us, not all of us.
We're not going to mention who.
We're dining on the Diamond. Night 2 coming up a little later on tonight. Got pretty cold last night, guys.
Yeah.
But I was ready for it. I had the long Nike leggings on underneath the khaki pants. I had a long sleeve shirt under my polo. And I had a quarter zip ready to go just in case it got a little too cold. So, rather be safe than sorry.
And I got in trouble from Dan for drinking coffee, so.
Oh, boy. That, coffee and Dunkin' Donuts hot chocolate, new additions to the menu at Dining on the Diamond. And I got to say, the hot chocolate,
yeah,
fantastic. Absolutely sensational. It hit the spot. Still some spots left. Got some spots open tonight for Dining on the Diamond.
Jim, why don't you get a table for tonight?
I could. Why not?
I promise I will not serve you there.
Had a great crowd last night at all three seatings. The 5:30, the 7, and the 8:30.
I'll tell you, some nights when you get an appetite, it's tough going to those tables, seeing lobster rolls, steak tips.
Yeah. So we've got a bit of a delay here as we wait for the bottom half of the inning. Robinson Layer will throw this bottom half. We've done this a few different times where the pitcher will throw the top half, come in for a break, and then go out for the bottom half of the inning.
Can't you just look out on the diamond there and just picture an actual half inning going on? We're simulating that an inning's happening, so you can use your mind's eye. Isn't it crazy, guys, that this is now in the final week of this taxi squad?
Yes.
The last day that they're scheduled to be here is next Saturday,
And
a week from today.
I think July 28th was the first day the three of us debuted.
That's right. So just a quick tally here going through some of the numbers from Brian Mata today in his 2 innings and his return to the mound. He had 2 strikeouts, gave up 3 hits, a couple in that first inning. That opposite field single from Nick York. Josh Ockamy had a single as well. In his second inning, Jason Rosario snuck that double inside the bag down the left field line. And then he walked the final batter that he faced, and that rolled the inning over. But again, regardless of the results, we've said this a number of times about a lot of different guys here at Sim City. It's not about the results, but especially in this case, guys, for Brian Mata coming back off the injury scare, just good to see him get through 2 innings and to do it in a healthy way.
Yeah, that's number one. And I thought he threw the ball well, considering, Josh, the layoff.
I thought so, too. I was just thinking about the changing face of this taxi squad. Even in the 2 months that they've had it, there's been so much turnover, and how it went from a lot of veterans to so many young guys who are getting development time here over the last couple of weeks. But Mata has been one of the consistents. He's been here since day one, and this is important work for him. Even though these aren't real games, they are not inconsequential innings that he pitches.
Yeah, and you'd have to think with the influx of a lot of the younger guys late that they had a heads up that there was going to be instructional league, and they wanted these younger guys to get some work in. Because like you said, you don't want them going there cold.
Yeah, think about all of the guys and the transition that we've had here from the alternate site to the big league level and even the back and forth. There have been well over 20 guys from this taxi squad that have gone up to the big leagues, and just think of how it's changed. At the beginning, Kyle Hart was really the story, and he had that perfect outing that ultimately led to his big league debut. Tanner Houck making his big league debut, his success here. And then, of course, Groom and Mata. Jaron Duran's been the constant, but then you've got the new guys from San Diego, Bobby Dahlbeck. I mean, there have been a lot of names and a lot of stories to come from this.
Yeah, and a lot of guys getting a chance to go to Boston. I mean, it's crazy how many it seemed like it happened all at once, didn't it? We were going for a while, then we just saw all the changes constantly.
We counted last weekend, Mike, that over the span of 2 weeks, 10 of the 15 Boston Red Sox active pitchers had been here. Within 14 days, all of a sudden the Boston Red Sox staff was comprised of 67% of guys that had been at the alternate side.
That's crazy.
And I think that stretch too, Josh, was when you had pointed out, I think it's the same stretch, where they had made a move in 5 consecutive days for a pitcher all from here.
Yeah, it started on that trade deadline day with Lair and Kickham going up. Mike Kickham has remained in the big league starting rotation. Think about that for a couple of weeks now. Who would have ever guessed that?
Yeah.
When we saw him starting here in July.
So here we go, set to begin the last half inning today. Robbins and Lair will have a full infield and one outfielder. Hudson Potts is at third. C.J. Chatham's at short. Nick York's at second. And Josh Ockhamy's at first. Jason Rosario, the lone man, at center. And David Grullon behind the dish. We'll face Jeter Downs to begin the inning. Downs batting for the second time today. The first one came against Caleb Simpson, who made him look bad on a slider.
Mike, to your point, I don't know that was quite a Yankees-Red Sox inning that was simulated. A little quicker.
A two-batter Red Sox-Yankee inning.
Or if it's a Aroldis Chapman pitching, probably still the same at-bat. How about the at-bat that Kevin Plawecki had against him?
Yeah, it was
late in that
unreal.
game?
Yeah.
It seemed like Chapman was just throwing the same pitch, that fastball up and in, and Plawecki just kept fouling it off to the right.
And he was pitching on a second straight night. It was why his velocity was down, but I thought the Red Sox had a good chance to beat him.
Downs squibs one first base side. You could hear Grullon yelling at Lair to get over, and he does. One out.
Oh, Josh, you were talking about the first-round picks. Also, Potts and Downs are first-rounders from a different organization. So they make 6, right?
That's crazy, yeah.
And you can also throw in Caleb Wallace, who the Red Sox announced yesterday was the player to be named later in the Kevin Pillar trade with the Rockies. And that's a guy who was drafted last year, was in the top 20 in the Rockies system, had a great year for the Rockies a year ago at short A ball, had a sub-2 ERA, held opponents to an under 200 batting average, a UConn product. Grew up in Methuen, Massachusetts as well.
Aren't they happy to get another New Englander into the organization?
Casas throws the hands up out of the way of the fastball.
That's a great location from Lair. You bust him up and in, but you catch the inside edge. Don't let Tristan Casas get his arms extended.
We do not have Bruce Crabb out there behind the mound as Casas rolls over a foul ball.
He's still simulating the inning.
Billy McMillan is, however, down the third base line. Casas has struggled a bit today, especially against Caleb Simpson the last 2 days. Takes a high, hard one there. Looking ahead to next year, guys, if things hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, all that good stuff, go back to normal, I do wonder just where you see a lot of these guys start off as Casas chops one to Akemi at first for the 3 unassisted put out.
It's interesting, yeah, because guys lost the year, but how they played here, you'd have to use that as some influence.
I'm really curious how this development time that's spent for the 2 months, or even less for some of these guys like Marcus Wilson, who's coming into the box, how is this development time treated by the player development staff? They look at it as if they've had a minor league year, half a minor league year, no minor league year.
Because a lot of guys have not played at all. Guys that weren't invited.
Like Tristan Casas, I think we all agree, would have probably started somewhere in A-ball, probably Salem this year.
Wilson pops it up, foul ground, first base side. Grullon and Akemi converging, but Grullon has it, but it pops out of his glove. Well, Grullon had to go a long way. He also had the batting shell there in his peripheral vision. Did a nice job avoiding it, but could not hang on to the ball.
That's a tough play. He made a great effort.
Yeah, it was. That's a long way to go in this yard. And anyway, so Tristan Casas plays about a month in the taxi squad. Is that enough to say, well, he graduated from A-ball and he can start in Portland? You know, these are the questions that are going to have to be answered. How about Jay Groom?
Yeah, I think that question is the most fascinating takeaway from this entire Sim City experience is where are guys in their development and where do you place them? Again, if all goes back to normal, if we have a COVID vaccine and all of that good stuff, where do you guys end up in 2021?
I think Brian Mata is an interesting case.
Yeah.
The guy we saw pitch the first couple of innings here today.
And I
think
don't know.
it's not out of the question that after this development time, and assuming he does some things in instructs, could he contend for a starting rotation spot next year in spring training?
The big leagues?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The guy on deck, Jaron Duran, I think that is a very interesting case, too. It's a guy who probably would have started this season at Double-A.
It's going to be as open as it ever has been for a Red Sox team. They're going to have a lot of spots, considering what they've usually had in the past.
And by the way, Chaim Bloom's going to have decisions because a lot of these guys have to be protected from the Rule 5 draft this offseason, put on the 40-man.
Including Brian Mata.
These are not inconsequential at-bats that Marcus Wilson is getting because he's on the 40-man roster, guys. But, with not a lot of experience, just Double-A in his career, he needs to show that he belongs to stay there.
A lot of questions to be answered over the offseason, that is for sure. Wilson rips one into the glove of C.J. Chatham. Well, he timed that perfectly. Looked like Wilson was making a bid for a base hit there. But it ends up being a 1-2-3 frame for Robinson Layer. And as you like to say, Mike, that's baseball.
Yeah.
Hit it right on the screws, but it ends up being the final out.
That might have been the best swing we've seen from Marcus.
Yeah, and since he's been here. It's the strange sport where a guy will make an out and get a high five from his teammates if he hit the ball hard.
So, that'll do it here today. From Sim City, we end up playing 3 full innings. We thought we were going to play 2. But Robinson Layer throws a pair and looks good doing so. So, guys, I think A couple of storylines from this one. First, Brian Mata, as we've talked about a couple times already, looking pretty good. But also Nick York playing for the first time here in a simulated game with the taxi squad. And although he did get backpicked after that walk, I think all in all he looked pretty good.
Yeah, single and a walk against the big boys here. Drafted out of high school. Definitely had some nerves, but looked like he belonged, right? If you were a casual fan, you wouldn't think that he looked out of sorts.
No, I thought he looked, actually, considering probably there were nervous energy involved in it. There was nervous energy. He was very calm in the box. He put together 2 very nice plate appearances when he was in.
Good for him, too.
Yeah.
And the 2 plate appearances came against the Red Sox top pitching prospect in their system. The second against the guy with big league experience. And if you were to tell Nick York that at the beginning of 2020, that he would end up with 2 at-bats at McCoy Stadium like that and be a first-round Red Sox draft pick, he would have told you you were crazy.
It's been a good year for him.
Yeah.
Right? First-round pick, playing right now.
Pretty remarkable.
It'll be a fun month for him when he gets to be with all other younger prospects when they go to the instructional camp, as opposed to this where he's facing the high-caliber arms. As you said.
That is the beauty of Sim City. Well, another edition of Red Sox Taxi Squad Baseball is in the books. For my broadcast partners, Mike Antonellis and Josh Maurer, who also did a fabulous job directing. For Dan Fontaine on the high-ohm camera, Alex Richardson on TrackMan, and Tim Quidadamo running the production side of things. I'm Jim Kane. We thank you for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon.